أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. صلوا على محمد. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا خيرة خلق الله ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة ورحمة الله وبركاته. Together, inshallah, we send our salutations and salams to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and his family. Assalamu ala al-Hussein wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussein wa ala awlad al-Hussein وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على التسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Sisters and brothers in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. We have been discussing in the last few nights regarding the challenges that we are facing in our community. And we discussed issues such as social media yesterday. And we talked about the importance of actually trying to be vigilant and trying to recognize that we as a community are ones that are using excessively social media, and especially the youth. And we showed that the youth are using social media in an addictive form, and this is actually causing lots of mental health issues. And we gave certain solutions and practical examples for this. If we're going to be a real Husseini community, as we said and as we say every single day and every single majlis, then of course we have to find out what are the problems in our communities, and we try to lay it out so that we can all discuss these particular issues. And I have taken a firm decision this year to actually try to discuss certain issues that are usually not discussed in the member. And one of the certain issues that are not discussed widely is the issue of spouse selection, and one that you find that individuals within the community are finding it difficult to find what? To find a spouse. So the sisters are finding difficulty to select a future husband, and the brothers are finding difficulty to select a future wife. And so therefore, this, I hear, is becoming a problem. So then I decided to make another study, another research into spouse selection in our community. So I have collected data, and inshallah I can present to you the data today, inshallah. And of course then what we usually do is we'll discuss the data and we can reveal certain results of the problems in the community, and then inshallah give certain practical suggestions. But importantly, what I need to say at the start of this discussion, my dear brothers and sisters, is that I'm going to suggest some suggestions today that perhaps you have not heard about before, and it's an attempt from myself to reform spouse selection, to try to make sure that, you know, the problems that are faced by the youth today are addressed, and they are done in a way that it can be used in a you know, it can be taken at a higher form, so that we can take this particular issue very seriously. And I think it's important that we come together to try to take this issue very seriously. So inshallah, we will try to discuss this particular issue. And the first thing inshallah we'd like to talk about is what is the problem. Okay, I mean, you've heard from me that I say there is a problem, but let's discuss this particular problem. And also we look into the study into spouse selection and what is going on in the community about spouse selection. Are there actually the youth that are finding it difficult to find a spouse? And we'll have so what I've done as well is I've taken some of the comments from the sisters who are single, right? And I've going to show you some of the issues that the youth are facing in the community from the sisters side, and also I'm going to represent the single brothers as well, right? I'll try to be as equal as possible with these particular issues, so that people don't accuse me of being far right or far left, whichever ones you want to call. And also then we'll try to give certain suggestions on how we can reform spouse selection, how we can actually try to find, no, I say we, of course, those individuals who are single, how can we help those individuals who are single in the community to find a spouse? And I have special message to my dear parents, yes, the parents who have mashallah children who have grown, right? And of course for those of you who have even younger kids, inshallah, when they grow, you'll also face the same situations where someone will come and propose, or you go and propose to others. How can we try to shift around and try to reform and find the difficulties that are apparent in our community and try to find solutions to them? And inshallah, then I'll talk about when you actually meet, you know, when this particular brother meets this particular sister, what should you do then? And inshallah then we'll end with what happens after the decision is made, if it's a yay or a nay, right? Then you're a rejected or not rejected. Bit harsh, but inshallah we can probably correct this particular phrase later on. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So what is the problem? The problem is, my brothers and sisters, many youth in the community are finding it difficult to find a spouse. Yeah, I mean, this is apparent in the community, and I'll show you why in the study. And you know, it's interesting because you find certain individuals in our community who have kept on trying and trying and trying from the brothers' side, because that's how our cultures accept it, right? That the brothers have to come and propose to the sisters. So the brothers go and try to propose, and they get rejected. But then they will feel that they are actually, there's something wrong with them, right? And the brothers feel like there's actually something, psychologically maybe there's something wrong with them, or they look like there's, you know, maybe they look not as like how the community or certain sisters will like them to look like. And so they feel rejected, and so therefore they feel this is personal, right? They take it at heart, and it actually affects the psyche of those individuals. The same way it goes for the sisters, those individuals who are you know, the boys who propose to the sisters, but then the boys sort of drop out, so to speak, and then they say, or pull out, as a better way of saying it, and then they say, look, you know, we're not compatible. And we'll talk about compatibility later on, inshallah. And so then the sister will also take that perception that, there's something wrong with me, maybe. Why did he reject me, etc., etc. So it becomes more of a problem in the community, and we're going to try to, inshallah, discuss these particular issues in more details. So let me go through the study itself into spouse selection amongst the youth. So there was an overall 284 responses to my survey. There were around half females and half male respondents, and majority were under the age of 34. So the first question I asked, as you can see, is what is your racial or ethnic identity? I mean, there's a reason why I asked that, is because different individuals have different cultures, right? And I wanted to distinguish between the Iraqi culture, for example, and the Pakistani culture and the Khoja culture. It happened to be that the survey went to a lot of Iraqis, which is okay, but we still got a significant number of Pakistanis and Khojas, and some Indians as well. So from what I'm going to show you, this is data for just those individuals who are who are single, are not married. Okay, so all the above data that I will show you, is just for singles. Okay, so if you are single, this is the question we asked at the start. If you are single, are you actively looking to get married? And you can see that, mashallah, majority of those singles are naturally looking to get married. So they do want to get married. And that's of course, this is sunnatillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what you expect from those individuals. So you can see, although there's more females than males who would want to, but that's absolutely fine. The next question asks, if you are single and looking for a spouse, how would you rate your spouse selection experience? So those individuals who have been looking for a spouse, how would you rate your spouse selection experience? And you can see that not many positives we've had, unfortunately, in the community. You can see the blue bar is the positive. In fact, there is no one said very positive. So there was no green in there, right? And the green is actually very positive. Not even a single person said their spouse selection experience has been very positive, right? Which is a problem, don't you think? Right? It's no youth out there is happy with the spouse selection experience that they've had. Okay, but some of them have had a positive, very few. Majority say neutral, but you see a large number actually say negative. And if you notice right here, you'll see more females say negative than males. Right? You've got a larger proportion of females who seem to find the spouse selection experience that they've had as what? As more negative than the males. And of course, then you'll find some individuals have experienced it very negatively, right? And of course, when you find such data, you get worried. You say that God knows what they actually gone through, so that they've ticked very negative. They must have gone through hell, right? Because you won't tick very negative if you haven't gone through something quite drastic, actually. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay, so the next question I've looked at is, I've asked, if you are single and looking for a spouse, right? How would you rate your spouse selection experience? So what I did was I looked at, this is data just for Iraqis. Yeah, so I wanted to see if there is a pattern here that we can see difference between the certain people who come from different countries. And you can see very similar data for those who are single Iraqis. This is, you can see that, again, you find quite a large number of the females who've gone through quite a negative experience, and also the males who've gone through quite a negative experience as well. Then the next question is, what are the ways you believe one should practice to find a spouse? So this is what we, critically we're asking here, isn't it? That we want those individuals to tell us what are the ways that are working for them and what are the ways that are not working for them. And you can see here that still a lot of them say ask relative, friend to find a spouse. Interestingly, you find quite a good proportion of the females say that you should use online Islamic matchmaking sites, but none of the males accept this, which I thought would be the opposite. But in fact, it seems like more females would want to use the Islamic matchmaking sites. Yes, it's important, and we'll talk about something along those lines, inshallah. But also you can see that certain individuals say attend Islamic speed matchmaking events, and some of them actually say ask the resident alim, right, or resident scholar if he knows anyone, right, that he may try to introduce you both. And that's probably something that we can also look into, inshallah. The next question says, do you think it's necessary for a couple to attend a workshop on marriage before they get married? And this is purposely, I put this question up so that we become aware as a community that what we need to do is we need to try to attend courses, and there are lots of skills, there are lots of things that we can do as a community, pick up tools that will help us in trying to live a life, a good life, a loving life of a couple. And also certain expectations. What do I expect in my first few months as a husband? What do I expect in my first few months as a wife? And this is all new territory, isn't it? It's for those of you who are married, you remember the first few months is all new territory, because only if you've done it before, right? This is an absolute new territory for you. So therefore, what do you expect? So we give them, through these workshops, we give them all the tools necessary to try to adjust in the first few months. The next question says, do you think we should accept women proposing to a man in a marriage in the community? And you can see this is striking, isn't it? That you can see majority of the females and the males say yes. And that for me was the most striking data out of all the other questions I got. This community seemed to be, especially those individuals who are single, right, seem to be really gearing towards changing the culture, do a cultural shift where the sisters are also accepted to propose to men, right? Islamically, inshallah, in the next few slides, when we talk about practical suggestions, when we talk about reforming spouse selection, we'll answer this particular question. Is this allowed Islamically? Shar'an, is it okay for a woman to propose to a man? And if it is, then what are the evidence from the Quran? And what are evidence from Hadith? And does the community, we believe that the community will accept such a shift or not? Okay? So inshallah we can tackle these particular questions later on. So this is a summary of the survey results. What we found is, the sisters find their experience of spouse selection more negative than the males, right? We found that more sisters support the use of online matchmaking sites than males. We found majority support the idea of attending a workshop for marriage before they get actually married, right? That's important. And also we found an overwhelming majority of individuals believe that it's now time to shift the culture and accept women proposing to men. Yeah? And that is the summary, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. What are the comments from the single sisters? So I want, when I'm going to go through these particular comments, I want all of us to take it seriously, because they are from these individuals who, yes, it's anonymous, but they feel passionate about what they say, and you can feel it from their words. Sometimes you can feel how passionate they are from the expressions they give, right? So I think we should all take this very seriously, the comments of these particular individuals, because otherwise it's unheard of. their comments are unheard in the community. So, inshallah, we can take lessons from these particular comments, inshallah. So I've also labeled where they have actually their age range and also where they come from. So also try to see if this is a cultural thing or not. So a sister who is between the ages of 18 to 24, a Khoja, said, I can't connect with anyone. The avenues for meeting people are limited. So she's basically saying one of those individuals, one of those female singles who are finding spouse selection very, very difficult in the community. Yeah, so she can't really connect with anyone, and she's finding no avenues in trying to connect with people. This is quite a long one, but I'll read it, it's useful. A 25 to 34-year-old from Pakistani heritage, she says that there is more focus on the superficial aspects and less focus on the values and qualities that will make for a healthy marriage. I've been rejected once for not being white enough. I think Iraqis definitely know this. Or rather, as it was put, fair-skinned. So people, more males are looking for, well, in this particular case, are looking for a fair-skinned woman. Twice for being a Sayyidah, neither family believed in Sayyid nor Sayyid marriages. And twice for not being at least 5'6". Yeah, so they're looking at their height, if they're fair skin or not, etc. And they're being disadvantaged based on race and what? Being disadvantaged on height and if she is Sayyida or not, right? This is a comment. Next comment, this particular Iraqi sister from 25 to 34, she says, the trouble is finding the person you have common interest with, or at least hold a conversation for a decent amount of time. It looks like she's having trouble having a decent conversation with certain of the brothers, right? And it's fine, but this is an important comment. The reason why I chose this comment is because it's important. Because when you sit down with an individual and you can't feel like you're having what she describes as a decent amount of time where you have a good conversation, then obviously these are initial signs that there is something not right here, and perhaps you are not compatible. But she is, I think, also saying that I am finding it difficult to find those individuals where I can have a decent amount of time where I can have a good conversation, but perhaps we need to find a way where she can meet multiple people, right? And eventually she finds this individual where she can have a decent conversation with. And I'll expand this, inshallah, later on. This particular sister, 18 to 24, Iraqi, she says, in my culture, it's difficult as it's more in the norm than the female is approached by a potential male spouse. So this is what we've talked about. We said that, this is the culture. The male go and propose to the females, right? And she seems to object to this particular culture. This particular Iraqi girl also says the culture is to satisfy my parents' family, not me really, as I don't care where a man is from, and as long as he's a well-mannered mu'min, which is basically the core essence of how a spouse selection should be done in Islam, right? Where you choose, and inshallah we'll go into this further, inshallah, you'll choose a particular individual based on their iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and their akhlaq, yes? But of course the culture, this is the problem here, the culture comes in, it tries to innovate certain aspects where you gotta look for someone who's highly educated, you gotta look for someone who has a lot of money, you gotta look for someone who's fair-skinned, you gotta look, etc., etc. And this is where it's creating difficulties, and this is where it's creating problems with certain individuals who are not getting married. This particular Pakistani sister says, I believe another challenge and huge factor for this generation in finding a spouse is social media. And this is what we talked about yesterday, didn't we? Is that we are finding this individual who is on Instagram who looks amazing, and I want to get married to this particular individual. Yeah? And this is portraying this picture of these particular individuals who are the sort of the role models of how a woman should look like, and how just a man should look like. She says that, she continues saying, it has provided people false and unrealistic expectations regarding what a perfect spouse and relationship look like. I know I've fallen into the trap, and I have to constantly remind myself to remember that what is shown on social media is not reality. And that's absolutely true, right? That's why we talked about yesterday, trying to limit social media, especially for the youth, because they're getting this perception that this is how it should be. And when you look, when they see videos of, you know, this amazing couple and how they are living with each other, and they have no idea what they go through, these particular couple go through in their house, but they're seeing them from externally, and they say, I wish I have a husband, or I wish I have a wife who's like this, who looks like this, who treats me like this, and etc. So they're taking their lessons about spouse selection from social media, and that's actually quite dangerous. Right? Because they find the community is absent. The community is even making it more difficult for spouse selection. Yes? So therefore, they go to social media because it's more secure, the social media. They're just their environment. They can see these individuals, and then they hope and pray that they get these individuals. And once they don't, and they can't find these individuals, then they become depressed. And then they grow, and they grow, and they become older and older, and then still stay single. Yeah, can you see the trend? This is what's been going on. This particular sister says, Khoja sister says, stigma towards women who are divorced. And I got so many of these particular comments, yeah, especially from the sisters, those individuals who've been divorced. You find in the community that they are stigmatized, right? They are isolated in the community, because then you get a question mark on them. But if a man is divorced, then you're fine, mate. Yeah, you're all right. You can go and get married. You're okay. You know, anyone, you know, you can go and look for another one. That's absolutely fine. But if a sister is divorced, and especially if she has a child or children, then unfortunately the community, what does the community do? They stigmatize them, and they also isolate them from the community, and it's considered as an embarrassment. In fact, I hear certain individuals in the community do not attend because they have divorced. Attend the majalis or attend community events because they look embarrassed in front of others, because those individuals, they get judged by others. They say, oh yeah, you're the divorcee. You're the one who just got divorced, didn't you? The community doesn't like this, unfortunately. Whereas perhaps it's not really her fault. Yes? And divorce, yes, it's not favored in Islam, but it's halal. And there was a problem, obviously, when a divorce happened, right? But don't tell me your marriage is the perfect marriage in the world. Don't tell me, you the one who is judging those individuals who have got divorced, don't tell me that your household is the best of household. You don't have an argument with your wife. You wife, you don't have an argument with the husband, and you're the best match in the world. No, that's not true. Yes? So I think it's very important for us as a community to be very vigilant about judging others. And we talked about this yesterday. If you spread rumors about an individual, and to be quite honest, I find this very upsetting when I heard that people are not attending the community activities because they fear that they're being judged because they got divorced, right? And this is disastrous. You've got to change this as a community. And if you are out there who spread rumors about individuals who've got divorced and are continuously spreading rumors about these particular individuals, yes, then you should do what we said yesterday. Was not just do tawbah, but actually go and reverse this particular issue, right? And go and announce to the community that you have spread these rumors and these rumors are false. Yeah, perhaps these individuals have got divorced, but why have they got divorced? It's beautiful gossip, isn't it? When we sit down in a family gathering, when we sit down in a cafeteria, when we sit down and having a shisha, this is the topics we love to talk about, isn't it? Right? It's juicy topics. Did you hear this person got divorced? Or why did you get divorced? I heard it's because this is and that. What do you mean you heard? Are you sure? And why the hell are you talking about it anyway? It's none of your business. Maybe what you should do is you should actually reverse this and try to go, if you're a sister, go and speak to the sister, go and visit the sister. If you're a brother, go and speak to the brother and find out what the problem is. And if they need actually any help, if they're going through mental health problems, rather than trying to exacerbate the situation. Yeah? The Pakistani sister here says, I have a disability, and this is quite upsetting, this comment. It really upset me, right? I have a disability, so there is no point looking, as no Muslim wants to marry a disabled person. And this is quite further advanced than where we are at the moment, to be quite honest with you. I mean, we got to sort out our mess before we even advance ourselves to actually look and cater for the disabled people. Unfortunately, we're that backward, right, that we don't even care about disabled individuals. In fact, we don't really cater them generally, you know, is there, if an individual person who comes who's disabled, and by the way, disability isn't just physical, disability can be mental. Someone is suffering from mental health issues, or someone is actually disabled physically. How do we look into them in society? How do we look into them in the community? Right? But this individual, this Pakistani sister, she's given up completely. She says, there's no point because I'm disabled. And who's going to marry me anyway? It's quite upsetting. Yes? But I say to this sister, I don't know who she is, but I say to this sister that you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's on the lookout for you. If the community doesn't care about you, Allah is there for you. Next is this particular Iraqi sister. She says, I really wish our scholars and grand scholars would shed light in this issue. Many of us living in the West are suffering due to familial pressure to look for partners within our cultures. Seems like the priorities are more cultural than religious. Even when the parents or family are practicing Shia, they seem to care more about their cultures and what people say than what is recommended by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, help me and help those who are looking. And you can see the tone, right? She's only 25 to 34. I don't know what age she is, but she seems to have gone through quite a hard time, isn't it? And at the end, she gives that supplication to Allah. She says, Ya Allah, help me, right? Because it's sunnatillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, isn't it? It's sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She wants to get married to the right person, but the cultures are stopping her. Yeah, you only live once, okay? And if she's going through this, she says, why am I going through this? Yeah? So, let's go into see what the brothers say. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. See what the single brothers have to say. So this is a brother, a 25 to 34-year-old Iraqi, who says the following. He says, most Iraqi families use their daughters as some kind of stock on the stock market and want a good return on investment by making ridiculous demands to young men. Yeah? This is for Iraqi family. For those of you who have daughters, maybe this is something you can note. 18 to 24-year-old Khoja. I know I'm going to make enemies today, by the way, but I'm ready, because inshallah there's going to be Q&A after this. Come and challenge me. But I made decision to come and speak to the community about this, because when I find upsetting comments like this, I gotta speak about it. And I know it's going to create enemies, but I find this is the path of Hussein. Okay? If I come and speak here about things that are not really important to the community so that I can please the public, then that's not Husseini. Hussein could have easily sat down and taken Yazid's, he could have accepted Yazid being the Amir al-Mu'mineen at that time. But he said, no, I'm going to stop I'm going to stop you because you are spreading falsehood. And I'm going to try to show those individuals in the society, in the community, what is right and what is wrong. Okay? I don't claim to be someone who is going to do this, but I'm at least trying to lay out these particular issues for the community to discuss, inshallah. So an 18 to 24-year-old Khoja, she says, I want to, but parents say to wait until I've finished university. And the reason why I put this is because we're going to talk about early marriages. Yes? Should we encourage sisters and brothers to marry early so they can protect their faith? This is an Iraqi sister, this is supposed to be 18 to 24, not 34. Sorry? There's a brother, sorry. Thank you so much. This is Iraqi brother. Did I say sister for the last one? Sorry, this is brothers. I'm used to saying for the sisters. Okay, so the last one was a brother, yes? And this one is also a brother. Finding someone and meeting them without community hatred. Yeah, because it looks like this particular brother has gone through so much community hatred. Yeah, either they've heard something about him proposing to some particular sister and something has gone wrong, but we as a community, we don't forgive. There's no forgiveness in the community whatsoever, right? If you make a mistake, that's it, you're labeled as someone who's made that mistake, and I will never forgive you for the rest of my life, and also never forget you as well. Next brother says 35 to 44-year-old, so now it's a bit older Pakistani brother. He says the whole process of finding a partner is flawed. Everyone appears as a good pious girl or boy, prays, fasts, supports the community, respects elders. It's only 12 months after marriage you truly know what's going on and all the good and bad habits the other has. The process needs a huge overhaul. Okay? And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to reform the process. This particular Iraqi brother also says, people have unfortunately become materialistic. Yes, sons and daughters need to be protected and secure with finances. However, the requirements they set is pushing people away from marriage. And the reason why I put this is because we're also going to talk about what? Finances. Do I need to be wealthy to get married? Do I need to have a house to get married? What is my dowry? Does it need to be 14 kilograms of gold? Yeah? Ridiculous demands that certain individuals are putting. Okay, so now inshallah we've looked at all these comments. We understand what the community is going through. We've taken certain understanding of what the community is facing in terms of spouse selection and all the challenges, inshallah. Now, from now on until the end of the talk, inshallah, we're going to talk about practical ways and how we can reform, inshallah, spouse selection. We begin this with the first of 3 very loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the question is here is, if there is an individual called Muhammad, yeah, Muhammad is looking to get married, how should he select his future wife? So he starts from 0. This is his journey towards finding. It's important that when this individual wants to get married, and of course this is also for a sister, so if Muhammad, and also there's a sister called Zahra or Khadija, shall we say, Muhammad and Khadija, yeah, and there's a Khadija, okay, who also wants to get married, then it's important, I like to really emphasize this to those individuals who are looking to get married, right, is that you must use your intellect and not your emotions and desires to select your future husband or future wife. Yes? It's very important, because the reason why I say this, I'll show you studies later on. It's because what people tend to do is, when, especially the brothers, when they find a particular attractive sister, they get attracted to her because of her physical body, right? Because of her face, not because of her akhlaq perhaps, or not because of her behavior, or not because of her iman. And the same thing goes for brothers. Perhaps a sister gets attracted to that because of the desires, or she knows this particular person, or how he looks like and whatever, right? It's important that we put these particular features aside, and they are important, I'm not trivializing them, but we must put them aside to try to use intellect first before using emotions. Yes? And we'll go into this inshallah later on. So how can we reform finding the wife or the husband? And the first one, this is not a reformation. I had to put this as number 1 because this is what community does. You ask around. Yeah, you go and ask mama or ask baba, I want to get married, and then they go to their phone and look for their contacts and find someone and call their mom or call their dad or whatever. I don't know how it does. Different communities do it differently, and then they try to meet up, and then they get a reject, and then he cries or she cries, and then they start all over again. Yeah. So you ask around, and this is what's going on. Some people will say, this is brilliant, it's working fantastic, why are you changing it? Well, I'm not asking to change it, let's continue it. If it's working brilliant, let's work through that. You know, if you ask around and this is the way you think we should go ahead, then by all means, go ahead with that, right? But as I've shown you in the results, I've got data to prove that it's not really working. A lot of them are finding it very difficult. No one found that they were very positive in their spouse selection. Very few found that they were positive. Majority or higher number found, especially from the sisters, found that the experience is very negative. Yeah. So if you want to ask around, please do. But we're here discussing how to reform it and how to make it more progressive. So the next thing I'm going to present to you, my brothers and sisters, is something I haven't spoken about publicly before, and this is the first time I speak about this before in public, is what I call confidential matchmaking. It says as follows, right? I propose the following, and if you want to take this further as a community, as organizations, as etc., please do, right? And I'm always available to provide any advice. So I propose the following. I propose that there will be certain individuals who are very respected in the community, right? Extreme respect. So maybe an alim or a professional, someone who doesn't have a background that people question, someone who is respected hugely in the community. Okay, I'm not just talking about Manchester. Maybe we could do this as a UK thing. Yeah, someone is respected in the community. This individual is given the following task. This individual will draw a database of those brothers who are at that particular age range, or those who are single and looking to get married. And what he does, he goes and interviews them. I know this is like a full-time job, but this is what we got to do. We got to maybe a payable job, actually, this, right? Where he goes and interviews them in detail and finds the different characteristics, their different features, their behaviors. There are certain questions, researched questions that you can ask to try to get information. And he takes all this information and puts it into a database. So, for example, this brother called Muhammad, yeah, he is probably 24 years old, and you come to Muhammad, Sheikh X comes to Muhammad, sits down with Muhammad maybe several times and takes details of what Muhammad is like and what he's looking for, okay, and puts that into a confidential encrypted database that he only has the permission to access, and no one else, not his wife, not his whatever children or whatever. He is the only person who has the ability to access this particular database. Now, where the challenge comes in, I think the males will be all right with that. Where the challenge comes in is if the parents will allow the details of their daughter to be put into this database. Yeah, and I'm sure there will be some who will say, no, I'm not going to put details of my daughter into this particular database. But what I call, this is why it's difficult, this is why I'm trying to reform spouse selection, we're trying to find a solution, is that I call for those parents to rethink, because this individual who's respected, who's either a sheikh, an alim, or someone who's very respected in the community, right, will keep this absolutely confidential. And the idea is that once this individual, this alim or whoever, gathers all this data in an encrypted database, he, not the program, it's not a computer program, it's just a database, yes? He will come and match people. So he will come to his database and find Muhammad, and he has all these particular characteristics, and he's met Muhammad with his understanding, and this individual will also go into courses, this alim or whoever will go through courses and will go through certain trainings into how to actually find characters, describe characters and match characters, and he will go through the database of the sisters and he will try to find a match. If there's no match, he'll tell him, in my database there's no match at the moment, but once if someone comes in, then I will contact you. But importantly, if he finds a match who is Khadija, and he thinks Khadija is fantastic for Muhammad and Muhammad is fantastic for Khadija, right? What he will do is he will take Khadija's permission and her parents' permission, so that he can introduce Khadija to Muhammad. Yeah, it's all done with the family's permission, right? It's not, nothing is done like behind closed doors, right? And of course, him being an alim or someone who's trustworthy, importantly trustworthy, then surely the parents will trust him and say, it's under your supervision. So then he will actually come and try to bring the two together so they can try to meet and try to find if they are actually compatible with each other. And it's all under his supervision. And when I say his, it could be a woman as well. A woman alima who is also supervising can be a supervisor as well. So when I say his, it's just for ease of conversation. No, I also can mean a woman who can also be an alim, who can be a supervisor here, equally, right? So this particular model, I think, will help the community in trying to find the individuals who perhaps don't come out in the community, you can't see them, and those sisters who you can't see them, but they're actually in the database, right? And for this individual who's met them, even this alim will meet the sister, maybe can have another, his wife or someone else who can sit with the sister as well. There are different details, I don't want to go into details, but this is the idea. The idea is supervised by this individual and alim who can try to match make. But importantly, I'm not calling for online matchmaking, yes? I don't want data to go online. I want this individual to matchmake, yes? This is an idea that I call the community to try to undertake. Number 3, my brothers and sisters, is community organized speed dating, all right? Don't be alarmed, yes? But there are certain communities, I know in Birmingham, Shia community in Birmingham, who've tried this already. Who have actually tried speed dating. And you know the idea of speed dating is where you bring certain individuals from the brother's side and certain individuals from the sister's side, and they sort of rotate and try to get to know each other. Now I know that sounds really quite sort of over the top for certain individuals. I know that there will be certain parents who will absolutely reject this. I'm not going to let my daughter to go and meet any Tom, Dick and Harry. Right? Sorry, Ali, Abbas and Ja'far. Right? Don't worry, Tom, Dick and Harry won't be there. And so, you know, I'm not going to let them do that. You know, what do you think? My daughter is cheap? You know, letting them... But, you know, we're trying to, again, don't put that mentality in there. We're trying to solve a problem in the community. There is a problem. And by you doing that, you're contributing to the problem, right? But this is supervised, again, by ulama. It's not any person who comes and does this. This is supervised by ulama, right? And is done properly. And there is a great model that is I believe in Canada, which was transferred in Toronto, I believe, which was transferred to, which was taken to Birmingham, right? And when I was lecturing in Birmingham in Ramadan, they actually told me about this, which could also be given to the community here, which can also be applied. So this is a model that's been successful, and the reason why it was successful is because people have been matched through this. And importantly, that, you know, tries to find issues, try to find solution to those comments we saw, that, you know, she's not finding an individual who she can have a decent conversation with, right? Maybe she can find through meeting various number of people, right? Is it jurisprudentially allowed? Why not? Why not? Yes? صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. So this is another proposal, cultural shift, trying to encourage females to propose to males. And as I said today, I'm giving things that, you know, some of you will go crazy, right? Saying, how can you say all these things? But again, I emphasize that I'm trying to shake the community and waking up to these problems that we have in the community and trying to find solutions to them. Yes? But do challenge me. Do challenge me for what I have, but don't throw things at me. So I'm going to prove to you from the Holy Quran that, and our jurisprudence, that it's not just is it allowed, it's actually, this is what Islam, I wouldn't say encourages, this is what Islam supports. Yes? So let's go in this particular verse. Look at the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. This particular verse says this in chapter 33, verse 33, chapter 3. He says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ya ayyuhan nabi, inna ahlalna laka azwajaka allati atayta ujurahun, wama malakat yaminuk, مما أفاء الله عليك وبنات عمك وبنات عماتك وبنات خالك وبنات خالاتك اللاتي هاجرن معك, and then what? وامرأة مؤمنة إن وهبت نفسها للنبي إن أراد النبي أن يستنكحها. So he's saying that, you know, we've made lawful to you your wives whom you have given their dowries and right-hand possess, those right-hand possess, and then he starts to name those who you can marry, and then he says those individuals who came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't go to them, they came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they provided themselves and they asked him for marriage, and they asked him for them to be his for him to be their husband, right? So if that was at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was accepting this, then why can't it happen now? Yes, you might say that this is the Prophet. No, we don't have the prophets as males here, mashallah, if they think they are prophets, but they're not really prophets, right? We don't have the standard of Iman as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but it is, of course, I understand that, but I'm trying to give you an example of how it used to happen. And of course, you all know, everyone here knows, that who did the Prophet propose to Khadija, or did Khadija propose to the Prophet? The Khadija proposed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah? Again, why did Khadija propose to the Prophet? Why didn't the Prophet propose to Khadija? It looks like not just Khadija proposed to the Prophet. It looks like other women also proposed to the Prophet. Yeah? If he's our role model, shouldn't we also follow this? I'm not saying let's make it one way and no other way. I'm saying let's make it normal in the community that sometimes the males propose to the females and sometimes the females propose to the males. But next thing, I will give you the biggest evidence out there. Right? I'm going to give you the best evidence. For those of you who are married, who are sitting here, maybe half of you, 50%, believe it or not, when you did your nikah, who proposed first? Think about it. You all those who got married, the sisters, when you married your husbands. No. Female, in Islamic jurisprudence, in the nikah, in Islamic jurisprudence, the female proposes to a male. Ankahtuka nafsi. Right? So then he will say yes and etc. So did you get that? So in Islam, in fact, is actually the opposite, isn't it? In Islam, the woman proposes to a man, but we've shifted it. Because this is a cultural shift, isn't it? What I'm proposing, let's try to go back at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let's try to take it slightly back. Yes, at the time of the Prophet, said Imam Ali alayhi salam, yes, he proposed to Fatima al-Zahra, but that, there were, I guess, at that particular time it was normal, where if a female, like the Prophet used to get proposals, right? If the Prophet used to get proposals, so therefore surely it must have been normal for other, because he's the Sunnah, right? Whatever the Prophet does is the Sunnah in the community, isn't it? Right? So maybe, so I'm sure in fact that there were other individuals who were also men who were getting proposals from females, right? But it was same thing at that time, where men also were proposing to females and females were proposing to males. Why don't we have the same thing in our community? Why is it completely 100% shift from males have to propose to females? Why? If in nikah the female proposes to male, and we can see from the Holy Quran that the Prophet ﷺ used to get proposals. Yeah? Not sure if I convinced you of that. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So, another thing is, if you're looking to get finding the right spouse, my humble advice to you, the fifth sort of reformation, so to speak, is to be involved in community work, right? Because, okay, let's say this honestly, right? If an individual wants to get married in the community, what can they do? community work and being present in the community will expose you to, in a positive way, will expose you to the community. They will say, yes, X is available here. We know that sister X is, sister Y is also present in the community. You are known in the community. That's number one. Number two, it will be easier for you to see and may perhaps meet certain individuals in the community, right? So there is an understanding within the community that those individuals who are singles, how are they going to get married? Okay? Maybe being involved in some community work, maybe if you attend also camps, maybe if you attend certain activities, you can be in the vicinity, in a lawful Islamic vicinity. And I'm strict about this. I'm not talking about free mixing. Don't interpret, go out there and say, what is he talking about? Okay? I'm talking, we're all mature, inshallah. Let's remove this immaturity from us, if there is any immaturity. I'm talking about all the men out there who are mature, and all the females who are mature, inshallah. Let's make this a mature community. And if we're going to make this a mature community, we don't try to cross the red line. Okay? We keep within Islamic values. And we attend these, if you are someone who's looking from the sisters or the brothers, attend these particular gatherings, attend the camps, attend those social events. Maybe, and there's been so many cases. I know about in university, in APSOC, so many cases where individuals have met while doing community work. Right? I know a family member who met his wife through the community work. And that's absolutely fine. Right? So maybe if you are someone who is looking, get involved more in community work. Now, what I say, these are 5 ways. The first one was absolutely normal, everyone does that, but there are 4 ways to try to reform spouse selection. But now I've got a special message to our dear parents. Before I say this message, I want a very loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This is a known hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. روي عن الرسول صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. This is you've heard this, and all the parents have heard this. And by the way, I'm a parent as well. I've said this numerous times, right? And it's a lesson for me because I've got now kids that are growing up as well. Okay, so this is all learning for me. This is all new for me as well. I'm trying to reform within me about spouse selection, right? For my daughter and son, etc. when they grow as well. Okay, so it's all new territory. Okay, and that's why I invite everyone to discuss this further. إذا جاءكم من ترضون دينه وأمانته يخطب إليكم فزوجوه إن لا تفعلوا. So Rasul sallallahu alayhi says, if someone comes to you in whom you are satisfied with their faith and his trustworthiness. He did not say the looks, he did not say the height, he did not say if you're pale or if you're dark. He didn't say all these things. He didn't say if you're wealthy. Yes, you might say, oh, we're living in 21st century. At that time, it wasn't like, we'll come back to this. Okay? He didn't say all these things. He said 2 fundamental issues, which is faith and trustworthiness. If these 2 are available in an individual, whether you're a male or you're a female, then everything else you can work around. You don't have money? I'll prove to you from the Quran. Allah says, don't worry about money. Yes? You have a slight physical disability? That's okay. All right? Depends on the the spouse, whether they're accepting these particular issues or not. Everything else you can work around. If you have they have horrible in-laws, right? Or horrible parents who just do not understand sort of a bit of flexibility, then try to get around that. But the most important thing is you must have that faith and what? And trustworthiness. So the parents out there, if someone comes in and you try to find out with the best possible knowledge, and I know this is a huge question, right? How to find out if someone has this iman and trustworthiness, right? And my suggestion is that, of course, the best way is to go and ask those individuals who are close to him, right? And you do your work as best possible way, right? Because how can you find someone is faithful or not, right? How do you know if X and Y are faithful? You try your best to ask individuals about what they do, about their salah, about their akhlaq, importantly about akhlaq. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I have come about so I can complete makarim al-akhlaq, right? Instill makarim al-akhlaq in the communities, right? Importantly about akhlaq. It's really, really important. And also about other indications of faith, okay? But interestingly, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, if you do not, in la taf'alu. Remember all those parents that do not look at these things but look at other things. What is the Prophet saying to you? He's saying that in la taf'alu takun fitnatun fil ardi wa fasadun kabir. He knows, the Prophet knows that if you don't do this, there will be so much corruption on earth. Because those who are single need to get married. This is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're actually stopping a project because of a useless reason, if it was a useless reason. But if their faith isn't good and their akhlaq isn't good, then justifiable reason. Anything else is not justifiable. I know I'm going to be challenged by this. But I believe anything else other than that is not justifiable. Yes, you might say, I don't like their looks, I don't like the things like that. Okay, I understand that. Some people are compatible, some people say, I don't like the looks. Okay, I understand that. Okay? But don't give me any ridiculous reason other than those things. Okay? That's why we need to be a bit more mature when it comes to these things. And also, importantly, you hear certain individuals, they don't want to let go of their daughter. Okay? You don't want to let go of my daughter. She's not your property, mate. Okay? She's not your property. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in fact, al-malu wal-banun zinatul hayatud dunya. They're actually entertainment for you. So if she's reached an age where she is ready for marriage, then you must be flexible in finding a spot. But if you do not, then you are spreading corruption on this earth. This is our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And importantly, don't look at initially finances. This is, again, I'm talking about messages to those who are parents here. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran? He says, وَأَنْكِحُوا الْأَيَامَ مِنْكُمْ. Marry those who are single. وَالصَّالِحِينَ مِنْ عِبَادِكُمْ وَإِمَائِكُمْ. Right? All the virtuous ones among yourselves, male or female. إِن يَكُونُوا فُقَرَاء. What? يُغْنِهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if they are in poverty, I will give them means out of His grace. Let me give you the best example is myself. Not really. But I give my example because I am me, right? I can't give someone else's example, so I give my own example. I got married in 2005. Okay? I'm a very old person. I got married in 2005. And I was so in debt. And I got married with what? With student debt. Yeah? I got married with student debt. In fact, no, I had very low wage and I had lots of student debts. But I had very low wage of around £9,000 a year. I was doing my PhD. Right? From 2002 to 2005. 2001 to 2005, I had around £9,000 a year. Okay? But in 2005, from whatever money I had, and we talked about exaggerated wedding ceremonies, we talked about the exaggerated dowries, we mentioned it a bit, right? I have a whole lecture, previous lecture on exaggerated wedding ceremonies and dowries, okay? Well, I rented a hall, a small, why does it have to be a hotel, a 5-star hotel where you have everyone competes with each other? I've heard this in London, I'm sure you have it here in London, in Manchester as well, that if my friend book this particular hotel, when I get married, I need to book a better hotel than her. Yeah, because how can I use the same or a equal hotel than with my friend? It's a competition, isn't it? I've got to buy the best of wedding dresses. I've got to buy, the man is so highly expected from him to buy all these particular things. And some of the shabab come and speak to me about this and they say, we can't. This is too much for us. They expect the parents of the girl, of the sister, expect that the boy is a millionaire. Some of them described this as they expect us to be like cash machines, right? Just money comes out, no stop. You got to be understanding that this particular individual just wants to follow the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't expect them to be wealthy and things like that. Also importantly, those individuals who want to get married, those men who want to get married, they need to save up for their marriage, not save up for their wedding ceremony, which is exaggerated so much. Where is the wedding when I come and remember Ali ibn Abi Talib and Fatima al-Zahra? Is it just so speech, or actually I am following their path? Go back to history. Find out, what did Ali ibn Abi Talib have as a dowry? Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he told him, oh Ali, the his father-in-law, correct or I'm wrong? His father-in-law, he came and told him, oh Ali, what do you have for dowry? He said, I don't have anything. I just have my shield, right? I have my sword. And he told him, your sword, you need it. You need it to defend the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But give me your shield, I'll sell it for 500 dirhams. And he sold it, and this was Mahr al-Zahra. Right? He gave it for Zahra, salamullahi alayha. Where are we with saying the ghaib, this new thing which is ghaib? And if you reference my lecture, I talk about, it's an innovative thing amongst the Iraqi communities, I believe. Right? Ghaib is something that they introduced it as an addition in dowries. So the dowry, so that you can do the nikah, they usually say around 500 pounds, Mahr al-Zahra, etc. But then they say, if you then decide to get divorced, then you gotta pay the ghaib, which is what, my friend? 14 kilograms of gold. Because after 14 a'imma. And I say this, I say, alhamdulillah, no, we don't have, alhamdulillah, we have 14 a'imma, not 1,000. Then it will be 1,000 kilograms of gold. Right? So, this is the mentality, because just in case you think about divorcing my daughter, this is what I'll do to you. Baba, calm down. You know, calm down. This is a marriage. You're supposed to support me here. Okay? So it's important we revise these particular issues. And there is a hadith from Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Man taraka at-tazwij makhafat al-'ila faqad asa'a billahi adh-dhann. Makhafat al-'ila, those individuals who have what? Have left, those individuals who do not want to get married because they are poor, right? You're actually assuming that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is incapable of giving you wealth so He can help you. So don't think of finances. And importantly, when we think about this is still a message to the I'm sorry, I'm taking long time these days, forgive me, these are a lot of data, it's a huge topic, I'm trying to cover it in the best amount of time, but I'm sorry I've taken more of your time. Inshallah we're going to finish in the next few minutes. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And of course, importantly, when it's mustahab in Islam to allow zawajil mubakkar, right? Try to allow young marriages. Why do we have in our community that you must become around 24, 25, 26 for them to get married? Of course, it's your decision. But if a sister is being proposed at a younger age, and of course, what I mean by younger age, I mean a reasonable age. I don't want to give a particular age, but a reasonable age that you know best which is this particular age. And if she feels ready, most important thing is if she feels ready and he feels ready, then why not? But do not reject because you say, oh, you're too young. Yeah? Because Islam encourages, mustahab is for zawaj al-mubakkar. So then all this happens, and then you finally get to meet. The parents say, all right, you can meet. So what should happen? You should allow the possibility within you that this might not actually work. And this is so important, because don't have high expectations. Because I do not want the brothers to be psychologically affected, and I don't want the sisters to be psychologically affected. It's not personal. Don't take it personal. Important, do not take it personal, right? It's just, as we say in Arabic, it's just a qisma. It can happen or it's not happen. It's a possibility that you probably reject him, or he rejects you, or vice versa. It's a possibility, right? But do not take it personal. As I hope that these individuals do not reject each other just because of something personal. It's because they believe that they're incompatible, okay, with each other. I believe that the parents should give the opportunity for the couple to meet several times, not just once. And importantly, there is discussion about where they should meet. Yes, so they can meet at home with supervision of the parents. But leave them. It's all about khalwa, isn't it? The ulama talk about khalwa. Khalwa is when you're left isolated, right? The thing is that when I read about this in Sayyid Sistani, there are cases where he says it's okay, but you try not to. It's okay to be left, the couple left alone. But importantly, don't try, if they don't have this shahwa between each other and stuff. But to be quite honest with you, this khalwa is very difficult to stop. If you bring a single boy, a single girl, leave them alone, things like that, then hormones starts to kick in and they start. So I think it's difficult so therefore what I say is that go to a particular place, maybe a cafe, right, that has a lot of people there, right, so you're not left alone. Right? Or maybe a house that the parent is there, and maybe they can give you your own space in terms of a room. The mother goes in and comes out, or whatever, something like that. Yes? But let's try to give the opportunity for them several times. Right? I'm trying to be very careful with jurisprudence here. Yeah? It's very, very careful. Right? Try to give them several times an opportunity to meet, not just once, twice, and things like that, but give them several opportunities. And let's focus on compatibility, and I'll end with this, inshallah. And I was looking for scientific papers into what do they believe that compatibility is. And this is an interesting paper that talks about predictive validity of ideal partner preferences, a review and meta-analysis. And this is what basically they say. They say before individuals meet a potential mate, they form thoughtful ideas in their mind about their traits and they want in their future partner, labeled as abstract control, right? Which is what? Which is basically, if I now take those individuals, the brothers who are single, and I ask them, what is your preference in a girl? He will say, well, I want her to be trustworthy, I want her to be someone who behaves well, someone who works at home, someone who listens to me, okay? This is their preferences. But what they actually say, right? So you build these ideas in your head as an individual, and you as a sisters, you also, when you ask you, what do you want in a man? You say, well, I want someone who takes care of me, who loves me, who all these things. This is amazing, okay? You have all these ideas in your head. So you have all these ideas in your head, yeah? But what they say, when they make the initial contact within a potential partner, however, they primarily rely on unconscious implicit emotions to choose. Is called romantic affect. And this is so true, isn't it? What I mentioned before is that all these ideal ideas you had in your head have all gone away because you're now attracted by the physical body and you're emotional now. So all these ideas in your head has gone away completely. Because now you're focused on the body, now you're focused on the physical side, now you're emotionally attached to them. So you are unconsciously attached. This is what they call unconscious. So you're unconscious of making that particular decision. Yeah, it's really interesting. I know I left this right at the end where I see tired faces, but this is important, right? Where you've got this ideal in your head, but when actually you get to meet someone, all these ideals go in the rubbish bin because now you're emotional. And you're connected unconsciously. It's really interesting. But then what they say, then later, after relationships are established, individuals begin to evaluate their romantic partners against their conscious ideal preferences once again. Therefore, what they say is to predict who an individual will ultimately end up with as a long-term mate requires two things. One is what features they are unconsciously attracted to. And what features they consciously decide are compatible. So you need to do two things so that they've proven that a long-term relationship needs these two things. Because you need your it's not a bad thing. Having this unconscious attractiveness towards an individual, it's not a bad thing. Take that, But also importantly, coupled with this is you need this conscious preferences that you had in your head. Now remember the trustworthy thing? Remember you want them to do whatever in the house, you want them whatever to, like your parents or whatever. All these are your ideals. Yes? But also they are taken over by these unconscious decisions when you meet them. Don't let these unconscious decisions make your final decision. What you need to use, your final decision is the conscious and the unconscious. Both of them together. Does that make sense? This is when research has shown that you will, inshallah, have a long-lasting relationship. And after the decision is made, if the decision is done quickly, if the decision is you want to meet together and you want to spend time together, inshallah, in a marriage relationship, then I highly suggest you perform nikah quickly, because I see individuals, there are numerous individuals who say, we've done this khutuba, we say in Arabic. So we say this engagement, but it's not really Islamic engagement, right? But there is a problem Islamically, jurisprudentially on your relationship then. When you go out, there's a problem. Okay? And certain people might even touch each other. There's a problem in that. Do nikah quickly. What's the problem? Maybe marriage, you want to do wedding ceremony maybe later. But do the nikah quickly, so that it can become lawful under the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are taking permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what marriage is, isn't it? Nikah is, you're taking permission from Allah. You're saying, oh Allah, I want to get married to her. And then she proposes to you in Islamic nikah. Okay? However, if the decision is no, as we said, try not to get disheartened. But importantly, my brothers and sisters, and I've heard this in this community as well, right? Is keep the meetings confidential. Don't go and announce to everyone, yeah, I met her, and I didn't really like her. Baba's haram. It's not right. And even the same thing for a girl. Yeah, I met him, but he's not good to me. No. Keep this absolutely confidential, because you are ruining this individual's prospect of what? Getting married. You're spreading an individual, you're spreading this injustice in the community, which is absolutely wrong. I have taken a long time, and forgive me for this, but this is an important topic, and I invite the community seriously, not just to listen about these particular issues, but take these forward, and let's try to reform this very important issue. If we want our community, our youth not to, and I say this at the end, and it's like a bombshell, right? If we want our youth not to resort to mut'ah, to temporary marriages. Because the community, there are youths who are resorting to temporary marriages. Because they can't find a spouse, they need to satisfy their urge. They're resigning to what? To mut'ahs and temporary marriages. Some people will say, yeah, that's fine, right? I believe it's not healthy for the community. Let's try to make spouse selection easier, right? For the community, inshallah, if we are going to strive towards making this a Husseini community. We call Sayyid Ali, inshallah, to recite the Masa'ib. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلوا على محمد.